Welcome to the Ghosts of Strategy channel, where we explore mysterious historical stories, dramatic intelligence conspiracies from all over the world. Today, we will together uncover a little-known but captivating page of history, the spy scandal in Ghana, where a West African nation became an underground battlefield between the two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, during the Cold War era. This is not about gunfights or atomic bombs, but a silent war where love, loneliness, and loyalty are exploited as sharp weapons. Imagine you are in Accra, the capital of Ghana, in the 1980s. Ghana, a West African country with a population of about 12 million people, at that time is famous for its long coastline, tropical forest, and history of independence struggle. But Ghana is not a typical Cold War hotspot like Berlin or Cuba. This is a country that newly gained independence from Britain in 1957 under the leadership of Kwame Nkrumah, the founding father with socialist and non-aligned ideologies. After Nkrumah was overthrown in 1966, Ghana went through many political upheavals, and by 1981, Rawlings seized power through a coup tilting the country towards the Soviet Union and socialist allies like Cuba and Libya. In the context of the Cold War, Africa became the new front, where the US and the Soviet Union vied for influence. The US feared the spread of communism, while the Soviet Union wanted to support national liberation movements to expand its influence. Ghana, with its strategic location and abundant resources like gold and cocoa, became an important target. Accra, the vibrant city with bustling streets, colorful street markets, and the massive US embassy, unexpectedly turned into an underground battlefield. US CIA agents operated secretly to gather information, recruit sources, and even plan coups against Rawlings' pro-Soviet government. In response, Ghanaian intelligence, supported by Cuba and East Germany, carried out counterintelligence operations to protect the regime. This intelligence war lasted for many years, from the 1970s to the mid-1980s, with a series of covert activities such as surveillance, eavesdropping, and recruitment. But the climax was the scandal involving Sharon Scranage, an ordinary CIA employee drawn into a sophisticated honey trap. This is the story of how fake love can destroy an entire intelligence network, causing serious damage to the US and changing the situation in West Africa. We will explore the details of this case from its origins to consequences and draw historical lessons. Please watch until the end of the video. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. Now let's dive deep into the heart of the story. The spy scandal known as the honey trap, a classic tactic in the world of intelligence where the enemy uses emotional allure to manipulate the target. In this case, Ghanaian intelligence under the direction of the Rawlings government carried out a seduction campaign aimed directly at Sharon Scranage, a young and lonely CIA employee working in Accra. Everything began in 1983 when Sharon was assigned to the US Embassy in Accra as an intelligence operations support assistant. She was not a professional spy, like in James Bond movies, but just an administrative employee handling paperwork, communications, and supporting secret operations. But her position allowed access to a lot of sensitive information, from source identities to operational plans. Ghanaian intelligence quickly recognized Sharon as the ideal target, a young American woman far from home, unmarried, and feeling lonely in a strange environment. The person chosen to execute the honey trap was Michael Sissudus, a smart, charming, and well-trained Ghanaian agent. Michael, born in Ghana but with distant royal lineage, had studied in the US and spoke fluent English. He was tasked by Ghanaian intelligence to approach Sharon. Their first meeting happened by chance at a social party in Accra, where Michael posed as a successful, elegant businessman interested in American culture. He quickly won Sharon over with romantic gestures, dates by the beach, small gifts from local markets, and deep conversations about life, family, and the future. Sharon, then 28 years old, fell into the love trap easily. She believed Michael was the ideal lover, a man who understood her shared dreams and promised a happy future. But behind that, Michael skillfully manipulated Sharon's emotions. He started with harmless questions about her work, then gradually demanded more sensitive information under the guise of sharing to prove love. Sharon, blinded by feelings, began providing information. Over 18 months from 1983 to 1985, she revealed a series of secrets, the identities of 8 CIA sources in Ghana, local people working for the U.S. intelligence operational plans, information about secret communication equipment like encryption machines and radio frequencies, even details about surveillance campaigns against the Ghanaian government. The consequences of this incident were a disaster for the CIA. The information Sharon provided didn't stop at Ghana. Michael quickly passed it to allies Cuba, Libya, East Germany, and ultimately the Soviet Union. These countries used the information to dismantle the U.S. intelligence network in West Africa. 8 CIA sources were arrested, some tortured or disappeared. Operational plans were neutralized, and most importantly, a coup plan against the Rawlings government, secretly supported by the CIA, was completely exposed. The Ghanaian government quickly suppressed opposition elements, consolidating Rawlings' power and pushing back U.S. influence. This scandal was not only an intelligence failure, but also proof of the power of the Honeytrap tactic. In intelligence history, there are many similar cases like Mata Hari in World War I or Soviet agents seducing Western officials. But here it happened in Africa, a continent often overlooked in Cold War stories. The incident shook the CIA, forcing them to reassess internal security and ways to protect employees from emotional threats. Sharon Scranage, the main character. Now let's focus on the central figure, Sharon Scranage. She is not a professional spy or a villain from a novel. Sharon is an ordinary woman, drawn into the whirlpool of great history just because of loneliness and blind trust. Sharon Scranage was born in 1955 in a small town in Virginia, USA. She grew up in a simple farming family attached to the Baptist Church and traditional values. From a young age, Sharon was an obedient girl, diligent in studying. After graduating high school in 1973, she attended a local business school specializing in secretarial and office management skills. In 1976, at age 21, Sharon began working for the CIA as an administrative secretary at the Langley, Virginia headquarters. Her initial job was just typing filing documents and supporting senior staff. But Sharon quickly proved her abilities, and by 1983, she was appointed as an operations support assistant at the U.S. Embassy in Accra, Ghana. This was Sharon's first time leaving the U.S., a major turning point in her life. Psychologically, Sharon was a vulnerable person. She had never been married, had no children, and her life in the U.S. revolved mainly around work and family. When arriving in Accra, Sharon faced deep loneliness, a strange environment, hot and humid climate, different culture, and work pressure. She missed home terribly often, writing letters to her mother and sister about the difficulties. This loneliness made Sharon the perfect target for Michael Sissudus. He not only seduced her with his appearance and sweet words, but also skillfully exploited her fear of loneliness. Michael promised marriage a happy life in Ghana or the US, and even discussed having children, things that touched Sharon's deepest desires. Sharon's motives were not money or political ideals. She was not a deliberate traitor like Aldrich Ames or Robert Hansen, who sold information to the Soviet Union for money. For Sharon, sharing information was proof of love. She believed Michael was her true lover, and revealing secrets would prove her loyalty. In later interrogations, Sharon admitted that she had been blinded, thinking the information was not as important as the personal relationship. This is a classic example of how intelligence can exploit human factors, not through threats or bribery, but through emotions. Sharon's life after the incident was a tragedy. From a promising CIA employee, she became a criminal, lost her job, lost her honor, and faced imprisonment. But through that, we see that anyone can become a victim of intelligence conspiracies, if not vigilant. The case was only discovered in 1985 when Sharon ended her term and returned to the US. According to CIA security procedures, all employees returning from abroad must undergo a polygraph test, the lie detector. Sharon failed miserably. The polygraph recorded fluctuations in heart rate and sweat when she was asked about personal relationships and whether she had disclosed classified information. Initially, Sharon denied, but under interrogation pressure from the FBI and CIA, she quickly confessed the entire matter. In lengthy interrogation sessions, Sharon detailed her relationship with Michael, how he approached and manipulated her. She admitted to providing information over 18 months, including source lists and coup plans. This information was immediately used to assess damage. The CIA confirmed that the network in Ghana had been completely broken. Sharon was arrested shortly after facing 3 serious charges: espionage, disclosing CIA employee identities, and violating the National Security Act. The trial took place in Virginia in 1985, where Sharon pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 5 years in prison. However, due to cooperation with the investigation, the sentence was reduced to 2 years, and she served only 8 months actually before being pardoned. Michael Sissudus also did not escape the law. He was tracked and arrested by the FBI in the US while trying to approach other targets. Michael faced 8 espionage charges and was sentenced to 20 years in prison. But his fate changed thanks to a typical Cold War spy exchange agreement. In 1986, the US agreed to release Michael in exchange for 8 CIA sources arrested in Ghana. This was a secret exchange similar to prisoner swaps between the US and the Soviet Union. Michael returned to Ghana as a national hero, warmly welcomed by the Rawlings government. Afterward, he entered politics, became a parliamentarian, and lived a prosperous life. This incident exposed vulnerabilities in the CIA's security system, leading to internal investigations and procedural changes. The Sharon Scranage scandal left far-reaching consequences not only for the CIA, but also for the political situation in Ghana and Africa. First, the damage to the CIA was severe. They lost the entire source network in Ghana, exposed operational methods, secret communication channels, and recruitment techniques. The arrested sources led to loss of lives and valuable information about Soviet activities in Africa. The CIA was forced to overhaul all intelligence operations in West Africa, changing encryption, recruiting new sources, and increasing employee monitoring. The cost of this was estimated at millions of dollars, and the CIA's reputation declined within the US government. From the incident, the CIA drew many lessons. They strengthened security checks, including periodic psychological evaluations for overseas employees. counterintelligence awareness training was expanded, emphasizing tactics like honey traps. Moreover, strict regulations on personal relationships were issued. Employees must report any romantic relationships with locals, and violations could lead to immediate dismissal. These changes remain in effect today, influencing how the CIA operates globally. On Ghana's side, the incident consolidated the Rawlings government. Preventing the coup plan helped Rawlings maintain power until 2001. Ghana continued to cooperate with the Soviet Union and Cuba, receiving economic and military aid. However, after the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, Ghana gradually abandoned socialist policies, shifting to cooperation with the West. Today, Ghana is a stable democracy with good relations with the U.S., and the incident is now just a distant part of history. Overall, the scandal reminds us that the Cold War was not just an ideological confrontation, but also a human war where emotions can change history. In summary, the Sharon Scranage case is a unique story in espionage history, not involving money or political ideals, but entirely based on emotional exploitation. From a rural girl in Virginia, Sharon became the center of a complex international conspiracy, proving that even ordinary people can be drawn into the vortex of history. This story reminds us of the power of intelligence, the fragility of loyalty, and the importance of vigilance. Thank you for watching today's video. If you like this content, please comment your thoughts and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories. See you in the next video.